The Across the Cowboys podcast. This podcast is part of the Across the Board Sports Podcast family. If you're new to the show, thank you for joining us. And to our regular listeners, welcome back. With me, as always, is my co-host, the greatest co-host in the world, Mike the Pig Crum. Mike, how are you?
The way you were smiling right there, I thought I was going to get something. I really did. I was like, I go, he's planning something. This is not going to be the greatest for sure. The baldest, the most American history X is something I was going to get, but I just got greatest. I'm shocked.
I was trying to think of something clever, but I couldn't at the last minute. I won't lie.
The tiredest would have definitely worked.
Yeah.
The no sleep thing, that should be fun. You're just going to look out right in the middle.
You know, speaking of American History X, is that Edward Norton's greatest performance?
Oh, no. I got to go. I like Primal Fear better. I love that. I think the score he's pretty good in. And
the score, what's that?
The Score is a movie with him and Robert De Niro where he plays someone that is has a mental disability, but he really doesn't. He just plays like he does because he's casing this place for a robbery. It's pretty cool.
Dude, that sounds good.
It's a good movie. Him and Robert De Niro going back and forth and stuff is nice. It's good. It's worth watching.
Yeah, I like Edward Norton, of course, in Fight Club, American History X, and then Rounders. I mean, come on.
Oh, right. That's probably his best performance. Him as the loser poker player is like it's.
Oh man, the dummy.
Yeah, so good in that. Have you seen Primal Fear?
I started watching it one night. We're late at night though, because I heard about it and I'd never heard about it. And I like Edward Norton, but I didn't finish it. So that's one on my list. I want to watch The Score now. I love movies like that.
Yeah, The Score. Primal Fear is better. Primal Fear is like an all-time great movie.
He hasn't done anything in a while, but I've always liked him in anything he's done. I even liked him as the Hulk.
Motherless Brooklyn, he was in, and that was good. He was also, oh man, I want to say he's a voice. If they do a sequel to the Attila movie that Robert Rodriguez did, that's like kind of CGI. It has Christoph Waltz in it. That he's kind of the voice at the end. So he would be the bad guy if they were able to make another one of those. I really like that movie. And he was also the voice in something, but I can't remember what it was. So he's still been active, but he hasn't, really it's all Marvel movies and stuff right now. If you're not in something Marvel or DC or Star Wars, it's not big like that.
Yeah, we're coming up on the summer. That means nothing but blockbusters. That's not really his thing.
Yeah, no. He's Motherless Brooklyn. Great movie, but it's more of like time and costumes and like the performance of the actors and the writing and stuff. And that's not a big like theater make money thing nowadays.
It's kind of funny just because we see all these famous actors. It makes me think of that John Hamm commercial on Apple where he's like watching TV and he sees all those actors in a new series. He's like, oh, that could have been John Hamm. It's like, why hasn't Edward Norton been given an opportunity?
Yeah, that's funny because that is one of my – I don't watch many commercials. I have DVR. That's one of my favorite ones that I saw, when I was watching something live. Harry Potter or something was on, and I had it on. And that is a great commercial by Apple.
Oh, man, Harry Potter. They're making a new one of those, aren't they?
I don't know. They did the book. The book is incredible. I cried when I read it. It's great. It's written in like play form, so it's kind of shorter than normal. My thing is, if you're gonna do it, do you CGI Snape? Like, have somebody come in and do his face because he's even essential to the new ones, even though he's not in a lot of it. He's essential. Yeah. Man, it's just the part I cried included him in it, and so it's. I would love to see him do the movie, but I watched the HBO, what do you call it? Reunion. And that was awesome.
Okay. That would be cool. Hopefully. So I assume you've watched all the movies. Have you also read all the books?
Oh yeah. I have every one of the books, and I have I want to get this one that's displayed, so it's not just the books that I read, but I can go. I'm a book reader. I don't do it as much now because of the it was like a book a week before I would read, and now it's like a book every 2 months. I'm not even gonna lie. I'm like, you've seen all the Star Wars ones I bought, and I'm super behind on those. I'm behind on there's a couple of Disney ones that people give I apologize, I'm not thinking of the name. I didn't get any sleep, but they give the backstory of villains. So it's kind of like, hey, don't forget they were like regular people that weren't so bad back then, Yeah. And it's those are good. I'm behind on that, and I'm reading the last compendium of The Walking Dead right now. So I'm still, reading, but it takes a lot longer.
Yeah, I started dedicating just 30 minutes a day to reading a book. And I'm surprised because my wife and I, I've been reading to her the first book in the new Star Wars series that I guess it's rather new, and after just reading for 30 minutes a day, of course, we've missed a couple of nights, but man, I got through that book in probably 3 weeks time.
Yeah.
So it's kind of surprising. It's a good book too, dude.
Yeah, I got it right here. It's the Star Wars High Republic.
Yeah,
they're good. I just finished A Rising Storm and Falling Stars, the next one, but I got to finish The Walking Dead Compendium, and I got to finish this other book, and then I read book 3. I'm not reading the young adult ones in there, but the full novels, the one Light and Life, Rising Star, and Falling Star, I think it's called, are the 3 that I'm reading on that series. So we're reading the same series right now. That's crazy.
For someone like myself who's not really a total Star Wars nerd, this is actually a good story.
It's great, and the way they show how powerful the Jedi were back when they like basically took care of all of the universe.
Yeah,
it's friggin', it's crazy the stuff they could do. Like together work, how they have them. Like there's so many that they would work together and do like crazy stuff. So yeah, it gets good too, man. The next one, the friggin' God, what are the bad guys called?
Nihil.
What are they?
The Nihil, right?
The Nil.
The Nihil.
Nihil. Yeah, that in the second book, dude, you're about to get into. Crazy, man. It's awesome.
Yeah, I'm excited. Well, Mike, here we are. We've gone off track as we usually do. So let's get back on track. Before we do that, remind the people where they can find you on Twitter, sir.
At CD, it's right there on YouTube. At CD Piglet. Nice and easy.
Guys, I'm Paul Ryan. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. Well, Mike, before we discuss any football talk, we got to talk about Meatless Monday. What was on the menu today?
Meatless Monday was really quick, for people that watch this show just really fast. Time for Jeffrey is his at now. Obviously, Jeff Kavanaugh. Episode 1 of his show was today.
I was watching that before we started.
On his YouTube channel. The guy obviously is a master at this. He's one of the reasons I wanted to do it. So make sure you're subbed. Party at Jeff's. Love you, Jeff. And I can't wait to see all your work. You're going to kill it, man. Meatless Monday was kind of boring. I made some cheese tortellini. And by made, I mean that when it goes on sale, I buy it and stick it in the freezer. Because I am not making homemade ravioli. I do not. I've done that twice. It's annoying. It takes too long. I suck at it. They fall apart. That's one of the things I've tried and failed badly. I can make wontons. I can make gyoza. I can make egg rolls. But when I have to make the dough, I'm terrible. So I bought cheese tortellini. I boiled it, and I put it with sauce, and I ate it with some toasted bread because it's Meatless Monday. Nothing fun.
Had nothing like a good pasta, sir.
It was yummy. Don't get me wrong. I Pecorino Romano or Parmigiano Reggiano that I shaved over the top. This is gonna be a lot. Oh God, guys, go sleep. And I'm the one that doesn't have a young child, so this is just gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, speaking of no sleep last night, man, he was giving us a hard time.
I was channeling you. I was like, I'm up with him. I'm here with him in spirit.
Thank goodness for the prestige. We'll talk a little bit more about that later on, though.
All right.
All right. Oh, Mike, let's get into it, man. You look at this Cowboys 2021 team. What was their identity in your eyes?
All right, so I think you have to break it down to get to it. I think they started off as and Skywalker Steel and Jesse Hawley kind of is where I first heard this, but they started off as how do you want it? Like on offense, you want to step up and stop the run, we'll gut you. Throwing, Dak will cut you up. You want to stay back in a soft coverage, Tony Pollard and Ezekiel Elliott will run it up on your face. And they did that for about 6 weeks on teams. And all the way through the Patriot game, all the way through the calf strain and the bye week. And for whatever reason after that, the team flipped to a very conservative defensive-led team where they didn't really play tough quarterbacks, and the defense was able to just like, hey, just don't mess it up, offense, and we'll hold on. And then at the end, the third segment is like they became a really undisciplined team that would beat themselves. And it kind of deteriorated that way. You know, we talk about the calf strain and the big difference there between there and going forward, but a lot of that also had to do with like we were penalized before that, but man, it just felt like the timing of penalties after that Patriots game was just brutal. It would always come at the worst spots. It wasn't just that we got penalties. It was that it would take away a first down and make it 3rd and 21. Like, brutal. So yeah, that's that. I think in the end they became the team was a undisciplined team that hurt themselves in games. And that was their identity, you know, throughout.
So an undisciplined team is what you're saying.
Yes.
You know, it seemed, man, like right after that Patriots game, it took the perfect storm to bring the Cowboys back down to earth. It took a Dak injury. It took an injury to Tyron. It took Connor Williams getting benched. It just took all these things to finally bring us down, and we still found a way to win 12 games. But for me, I felt like our identity was defense. You know, I felt like the Cowboys had a defensive identity. The defense was the most consistent, and at the end of the year, Mike, we saw that they were the strength of this team.
Yeah, it's crazy how that flipped because early on the defense was good. They were fine. They would get turnovers, but it was an offensive like juggernaut that was just you know, the Chargers they'd run for 200 yards on because they played that shell. And then another team would come up and go, "No, we're not going to let you run 200," and Dak would just eat them up. So it was fun watching back then, man. But yeah, it turned to a conservative defensive team. It really did.
Yeah. You know, as of today, Michael, what is the Cowboys' identity in your eyes?
Team with a bad GM, bad front office. We know this part of the year. They just are. They're bad. I mean, we're going to talk about it later on, but the Stephen Jones stuff today, you know, it breaks down like this. Stephen Jones decides basically what contracts are worth bringing back and the money related. Will McClay tries to find guys within that limited money that he thinks would be good for what the team wants, what the team is, what the offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator want in their unit. That's Will McClay's job. He does it really well. Jaron Kearse, Casey, Hooker, Urban. You know, he does a good job with what he's asked to do. It's hard to be a miracle worker like that and find those cheap things that the only stuff Stephen Jones will put in on. And then Jerry's kind of the figurehead that comes in and cleans up deals that have the Dak deal and the Tank deal that have to get done by deadline. Right. He kind of comes in and
He's
does
the closer.
That. Yeah, but Will McClay's great as the de facto GM. The problem is the people ahead of him hold him back by limiting what he can do. And right. So it's a team with a bad front office. And that's all you're going to hear through the draft until draft time. Is you're going to just hear how bad they are because they'll probably lose a lot of their guys right now. A lot of them will be good moves. We shouldn't bring back Schultz. You know, there's you know, Connor Williams can go. That's okay, depending on his money. Those guys kind of price themselves out where other teams could use them, but for us, it's not really worth the cap hit on them. So bad GM for me. That's a team with a bad front office.
No, let me ask you this, Mike. We're going to go off the sheet here for a second, but if we had the Jerry of old, do you think in the last 10 years we would have we would have made it to one Super Bowl or won one Super Bowl?
I think we'd have had a better chance because 2014, 2016 teams, he could have maybe made that one difference. Even this year, gone and got that one guy, did that one move you had to make. I believe he would have done that. But I believe with Steven in charge, that's not going to get done. They're Stephen Jones more worried about winning the deal than about what makes, if it, ultimately can win you the title, be the piece to put you over the top. He wants to win the deal first, and it's just hard to be a GM that way.
It's like Brian Broaddus always says, it's that, Jerry could be there with the can of gas in his hand in a match, ready to let this thing burn. And Steven's waiting across from him with a water hose, like, okay, Dad, if you're ready to do this, I'm ready for you, but nothing's going to happen because Steven's kind of, Cat Boy is in charge these days.
I was about to say that. Cat Boy. Yep.
Yeah. So, we're talking about Stephen Jones here. After his comments about Amari and Demarcus Lawrence, what percentage would you give them being on the team in 2022?
I'm going to start with Tank. He's going to be a 50-50. I think you save more money if you cut him later on, so you're not going to restructure him. That's not smart. You could ask him to take a cut that say, hey, instead of doing this or that, we'll instead of cutting you to save $8 million, what if you just take 5 off the top and it helps our cap, something like that. I don't think they'll restructure. He's 50-50 because I think they want to keep him another year, and I believe the real savings for him comes next year. Amari, I'm going 75-25. He's staying just because he's 27, I think, 20. Like, he's young still, and you can save 12.5 restructuring him, and it's not like restructuring a 34-year-old. Amari Cooper plays injured. He puts up numbers when he's targeted. He's a very good number one receiver if he's used like a number one receiver. So there should be no issue with restructuring him. It only is a $4 million difference, and you get to keep him for the next couple of years, which is smart. You should.
Mike, you're a little bit more optimistic than I am. Together, I'll say there's about a 10% chance. Separately, I'm giving Amari a 0% chance to be on the team in 2022. And, when you break down Tank's contract the way you did, it's probably higher than the 10% I gave him. But, that's what initially that's what I was thinking. It's about a 10% chance. If he's not willing to take a pay cut and the Cowboys decide to eat that money, then, I wouldn't be surprised to see them do that.
I'd be interested to see if they had to pick one of them to go, which they would, because Amari saves more money on the outright cut. He can save double what Tank can with a lot less dead money hit. But if you cut Tank and restructure Amari, you get about $20 million in savings altogether. Big dead money hit, but still $20 million in savings is a lot of money. So you add that to Dak's 15. Maybe a Zach Martin restructure. Now you have the money to go get a Curse, go get Hooker, maybe a Gregory, so it'll be interesting to see what they do. It's definitely going to be an eventful off season.
Absolutely. You're talking about the players that we could sign if we were to lose both Amari and Tank. Which 3 Cowboys would you like to see be brought back with Amari and Tank's money if we do decide to part ways with them?
All right, so controversy time. I really battled with the last one. I really battled. My first one was Dorrance Armstrong, and I'm going to go forward. And the reason the reason I said that is Randy Gregory's pushing 30. He's a better player, make no doubt about it. He's a better player, but Dorrance Armstrong's 24, and he played less games than he ever has. He's always played 15 or more games. This year he played 13. He only had 5 starts. If you look in less games, he had more sacks, 5 this year, than the last 3 years combined. He only had 2.5. He's starting to put it together, and he's better with Quinn, and he's better with the defensive line coach who's no sleep, guys. You got to forgive me on forgetting the name. He has his most tackles were this year, even though he's in less games than he's ever played. He had 3 tackles for a loss in his career. He got 3 more this year. And how about this one? QB hits. The last 3 years combined, he had 8. This year, in only 13 games, had 12.
Ooh.
So he's starting to make that move. And just the way I look at it is, yes, it'd be a downgrade from Randy, but I'm looking at signing one of them for 3 years. And the cheaper contract, the 24 years old, I think I would like to bring back Dorrance as like my number 1. And if nothing else, he's a great rotational piece. Like he's that extra guy you can bring in. Him and Basham now make your backups really great, regardless of who the other 2 are. You have 2 solid depth guys right there. My second guy, Malik Hooker. 25. Again, there's a theme here. 25 years old, coming off an injury. He's starting to get better every year. He still should be cheap because he didn't play a lot this year. He wasn't able to do stuff. I don't expect some team to go out and like, all right, let's, go after Malik Hooker and really give him a big deal. So I'd like to bring him back. I think he's the free safety option we need. I think if he comes in to the offseason healthy, he becomes your star free safety that you've been looking for. At a young age, maybe a year or 2 contract cheap. It might only be a year, but maybe if you increase it a little, you can get a second. The third one's where I had a lot of issue because Jerron Kearse deserves to be the guy. Like team leader. Yeah, a team leader, a killer. Like, but I also love the idea of bringing Cedric Wilson back because he's if you go into the year with Lamb and Amari, or you're bringing back Gallup and letting Amari go, but you have 2, Cedric Wilson's a nice 3-4 guy, punt returner, special play guy. He's hit big plays every time he's got an opportunity with Dak. For a few games, he hits you a big play. So he can make big plays. He just brings so much versatility, and he's going to be cheaper. In the end, I did pick Jerron Kearse as my third because I need that guy. I need even if he drops off play and tight ends kind of figure him out and he doesn't eliminate the tight end, he gives up some plays. Even if he gets beat up playing linebacker hybrid a little bit more and he's just not quite as good in the run game. His mentality and his voice and the sounds of the sidelines that you watch him, you know what I'm talking about. It's needed. And so based on that, I put him third. So my 3 are I'm sure people want the offensive line. I'm sure people want the Randy Gregory. I'm sure people want Michael Gallup. My 3 were a little different. I want the safety who's young and I think could be a big playmaker. I want the defensive end who's only improving and he's really young and he's had his best year under Quinn. And then in the end, I did Jerron Kearse over Cedric Wilson on his leadership. My brother's phone is going off.
Shout out to Mitch Crum, who's going to come on the show soon.
I'm interested in who that is because it just says loser is calling. It just says loser. I'm like, who is that? There's so many people that could be.
You should have answered it. We could have our first guest of the offseason on.
Right? Yeah. Just put them on speaker. Loser. I wonder who that is.
Mike, our list here is pretty similar. I have Malik Hooker. Of course, I have Jerron Kearse. But instead of Dorrance Armstrong, Mike, I actually went with Randy Gregory only because
he's better.
I mean, just he's if we lose Lawrence, of course we still have Micah, but who's going to be our playmaker on the defensive line?
He's better, and that's the thing with Tank going. Randy Gregory probably should have been my guy over Malik Hooker, but I don't know. I just like the idea of the 24-year-old coming in and
I like the idea of youth.
Yeah, and him and Hooker being like, I don't know. I just like that. I absolutely could be wrong. Dorrance Armstrong could be a backup 5-sack-a-year guy only, but I just think, man, 24 years old, like that's when people.
He hasn't even hit his prime yet.
No, not. He's probably got another 2 years till his prime.
Exactly.
So I mean, I don't know. It's just kind of a bet. Over the next 3 years, do I think I get a better value paying Dorrance Armstrong a lower contract as he ascends, or Randy Gregory a higher contract as maybe he's just stabilizes? Maybe his stable is better than Dorrance Armstrong ever gets to. That's the risk. Randy Gregory probably in the next 3 years will end up being better than Dorrance Armstrong, but will he be better enough for the difference in the money? So, it's tough.
Well, how would you feel about having Randy Gregory and Dorrance Armstrong as your starting defensive ends for 2022?
I'm okay with it because I think it's a downgrade, but I think you have Micah Parsons. I think Basham's a good backup. I think Osa and Neville going into an offseason where they're healthy. One's not a rookie and the other's healthy is a big upgrade. So if that was the case, I would really, really, really hope to land a Damone Clark linebacker or a linebacker that can allow Parsons to play some snap as a straight up defensive end every once in a while during the year. So, it would make the need for better linebackers bigger, but I wouldn't hate it. I really think Dorrance Armstrong is going to be a low key, really good bring back if they can manage that. If a team doesn't go into the fourth right and go, you know what, let's play this guy a little bit extra on the chance that we get a big hit on him, because Dallas won't do that. They're going to give him you're 24, you haven't really done anything, stay in Dallas, you're improving type deal. But if a team looks ahead and goes, hey, we could sneak this guy at a decent price if we give him, a 3-year and a little bit more than you expect, we could end up getting a big value out of that for a 3-year deal. If nobody does that, then I think we bring him back, and it's going to be a really good move.
Absolutely. Well, Mike, I mentioned that the Cowboys have 20 free agents. If I didn't, I meant to. And we know that Amari and Tank are as good as gone, or so we think. So, because you're the football brains and scout of the show, I thought we'd try a little team building exercise tonight for the Cowboys. I asked you to do a mock draft with the mindset of losing and trying to replace Amari Cooper, Demarcus Lawrence, and Connor Williams. However, while we're losing those guys, Dallas is bringing back Michael Gallup and Randy Gregory in this exercise. For this draft, we're going to go pick by pick. So, Mike, start us off. Talk to us about your mock draft and who's your first round pick.
All right, so I did this draft considering what I know about Will McClay. So I didn't go into this with any if you think I'm going to get a small school guy in the first round or go after Jordan Davis, who I love and I would go after at the first round pick. I wasn't doing any of that. I'm going in okay, here's what we know about Will McClay. Let's see what the picks would be. So first pick was Zion Johnson, offensive guard out of Boston College. He doesn't. This was a tough one because technically he doesn't have the length that Dallas typically covets, but they normally covet that at tackle. At guard, they're a little bit more lenient on you have to be super long arms and size.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and drafted him. I believe they would. I do. And I think he starts at left guard day one and is one of our better linemen for the next decade. I think he would be excellent in that spot. He would improve our center instantly. And he would help out if Tyron got hurt and we had to have Steele come in. He would help that situation too, because I think he's a really good run blocker, which is what I love about him most. He knows how to stay on his guy. It's very hard to get detached from. And if you can't detach, you can't tackle. If you can't tackle him, then that means he's getting to the second level. So I really like that pick. There are better ones, but in the draft that I was given, that was one that I believe they would do. I don't have what other guys were in front of me. I apologize for that, but Zion Johnson is a pick that's believable that Dallas would do and that fills the Connor Williams role right away.
All right, so talk to us about your second round pick. You've addressed the offensive line. What's your next move?
Next move is John Mechie III. Alabama speedster. Now,
don't hate this. Yeah.
no, speed. The team needs team speed.
Oh yeah.
If you tell me we're losing Amari Cooper, what I'm going to say is it's fine if you get me a burner, and not just a developmental. Simi Fehoko is a pretty good burner for his size. Not that. I'm talking about a legit Alabama wide receiver, even a forgive the name. I know he's not going to be playing for a long time, but when Henry Ruggs came out, he was a burner, but he was a top prospect.
Yeah.
John Metchie is too. The only reason he falls to 56 because he's coming off a torn ACL that he suffered in the championship game. If he's a full bill of health, he's probably a top 15 pick. If he fell into the 15 to 20, it would be another like in the CeeDee Lamb range where you're like, damn, why is this guy falling? He's from the big school. He's got great speed. Like he's dynamic. He could beat you every which way receiving, all of them. He's what you call a 3-level threat. So he can beat you before the ball's thrown, get you deep or separate. He can beat you at the catch point, and he can beat you after the catch. And he has blazing speed. So I think that value is just too good, especially with what this offense needs. So I went with Metchie.
You look at that skill set, though. Would you, and you consider the skill sets and the value, would he be a better pick than maybe a Jameson Williams?
Do you think Jameson Williams? Well, is Jameson Williams speed though? Like I want a burner, John Metchie.
From what I understand, I thought he had it all, Mike, but I could be wrong. Again, you're the brains of the show.
I gotta be honest. I haven't gone over Williams. I haven't gone over. I know he's an early round pick. I don't know if he would make 56 either. I think Metchie has a chance because of the injury.
Well, no, but I guess what I meant by that question is like, let's say Jameson Williams, we took him at 24, and then we took an offensive lineman in the second round. How would you feel about taking Williams over Metchie, or would you prefer Zion Johnson and then Metchie? Which of the two duos would you prefer? I guess
I'm going to tell you why.
A better way to.
The reason I prefer Metchie is because you would be getting two guys that are first round grades. So Zion Johnson is a cheater grade for me, is a 1-2. I got to see his combine first to decide if I'm going to solidly put him in the 1 or 2 category. John Metchie's a 1, is a first round pick. He's only injured. That's the only reason he would fall to 56. He is lightning. So in the other situation, you're talking maybe we go Williams and then say Ed Ingram in the second, or Slayer or whatever. I'm getting I'm getting a day 2 guy in the second round, which is great. But in the first scenario, we're getting a late first round pick in the late first round, and we're getting an early first round pick that dropped to the second because you're injured. So I'd rather have that double up.
From what I'm reading, Mike, it sounds like Williams is quite the burner himself.
Okay, I may have him mistaked with is it Garrett Wilson? That's the slower one. Dude, no sleep, guys.
No sleep. No, I hear you, man. I understand. So sorry to kind of get you off track here. It's just
no, you're fine. I should know it.
Top 10 pick, dude.
Yes, that's why I said he's not going to last till 56. But I just
right.
There's one of the guys that's a little bit slower of the Burks, the Wilsons, the Williams, the Metchie. And I couldn't remember which one it was. It's like a jumbled mess. The only thing I know is Burks is the one that's Debo like, and Metchie's the Alabama burner. Can I say I saw something on Twitter that I thought was awesome? It said Micah Parsons is a defensive Debo Samuel. That's
I like that,
awesome.
Dude.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah, I was watching a little bit of his interview with Rich Eisen. I didn't get to watch it all, but I just love Micah so much, dude.
It's crazy that, like, because I didn't want to spend the 12th pick on an off-ball linebacker, I now am, I have his jersey. I'm literally wearing, it doesn't really fit anymore, but I'm wearing his, for people on YouTube, his Defensive Player of the Year shirt, wearing it, right? Defensive Rookie of the Year.
How does it not fit already?
Because I washed it. I got a double X, and some double X's are tall and some aren't.
Yeah.
So it's not that it fits, but it's not like a comfortable fit.
Gotcha.
Because
Gotcha.
it
I hate
washed
when
and
that
shrunk.
happens.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
know.
All right, Mike. So talk to us about you've adjusted the offensive line. You've replaced, well, not I shouldn't say replaced Amari Cooper, but you've kind of filled the void at
Yeah.
wide receiver. Now, what are we doing in the third round?
Third round is Quay Walker. Of the day 2 linebackers, I like him and Demonte Clark, LSU, the LSU kid. I think it's Damone Clark. Yeah, Dame
Damone,
1.
yeah.
That's what I call him Dame 1 because Damian Lillard. Damone Clark from LSU and Quay Walker are my 2 favorites. The reason I took Quay Walker is both of them at big schools. Both of them have a great wingspan. Damone Clark's a little bit more of an edge rusher, but we got that from Micah. Quay Walker's a little bit better at deconstructing and holding up against blocks. So I went with the guy that might hold up a little bit better in the run. Both of them are going to run and tackle. Both of them have great wingspan. Even Walker is a decent blitzer. Damone Clark can edge rush. Like he legitimately can pass rush, and I'm fine if we want to get him instead. But I went with Quay Walker because I thought we have Michael Parsons. Let's get the next guy in there.
I know we're replacing guys, but honestly, how would you feel about if this were the Cowboys' real life draft?
Oh, I would be ecstatic if we got the freak out party like CeeDee Lamb, Trayvon Diggs, Neville Gallimore ecstatic.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Well, I like hearing that. Because I don't know much about Quay Walker, but John Mechie's somebody I've drafted a lot for the Cowboys. I know Zion Johnson. He's somebody that's been talked a lot about by Kavanaugh and Brian Broaddus. They seem to both really starting to have like a bit of a draft crush on Tyler Lindenbaum.
Yeah, I know. Can I be honest with you? I don't know if Dallas will draft him. He's smallish. I don't know if they want to go that way after how they haven't been able to move in the interior. I don't know if they're going to go small again. Connor Williams is kind of a meh, and Tyler Lindenbaum's a way better prospect. I just think I don't think they're going to go there if he falls. I don't. I just have a feeling.
So Zion Williamson, he's from a smaller school, isn't he?
Boston College.
Okay, so not necessarily a smaller school, but I don't know. I wouldn't. That's not a top 25 either, is it?
Boston College won't be a problem for them to draft him at 24. It's not the kid from Penning, Northern Iowa. That is not going to happen. I know people like that kid, and he could play left guard and move out to tackle. They're not going to draft him. That's more the kid I like. The wide receiver, 6'5" burner from North Dakota State. They're not going to draft him. It's those guys that they'll, unless they get new voices or Will McClay's like, look, we got to, check these guys. Then they're not guys that they're going to draft.
All right, Mike, talk to us about your 4th round pick.
4th round pick. I went with John Ridgeway, big 1 tackle. I think day 3 is where they'll address that if they can't bring Urban back, or if they don't think Bohanna has made enough of a jump, or they're just worried that they don't have enough beef. I love John Ridgeway. He's out of Arkansas, and he could come right in. I think day 1 he would be a better 1 technique than Bohanna. Bohanna is going to get better a year in, but man, John Ridgeway is strong, like country strong. He holds up versus the run. He's one of my favorite. If I had my way, we'd get one of either Jordan Davis, Travis Jones, or John Ridgeway. It would be one of those 3, 100%. And just depending on what you want to spend on the position.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, for doubt, because Jordan Davis was available when I picked in the 1st round, and I was just like, they're not going to do it. I want him, but I'm doing a Will McClay draft. They've never drafted a 1 technique or nose tackle until Bohanna last year under Will McClay. So it's just round 4 is about where the value feels right. So that's what I went with.
Mike, I know you said when we were talking earlier via text, I asked if you just wanted to talk about, or did you just do a 4-round mock, or did you do all 7? You said you did a full mock, but we'll kind of speed through these here. So talk to us about your next 3 picks.
The next 3 were Cole Turner, a tight end prospect. Everybody seems to like him, but this is about the value for him, 4th, 5th round. He's developmental, so Jarwin will have to start and be healthy. McEwen, he'll kind of be battling for that 2nd, 3rd. Maybe as the year goes on, if Jarwin can't stay healthy, he kind of gets in and takes it. He's a pretty good prospect. Chase Lucas, this one was a tough one because he's 5'11", but like Anthony Brown, who's 5'11", he has long arms, and he's a pretty damn good athlete. Not the speed of Anthony Brown, but a good enough athlete and long enough arms that I think they'll be okay with the fact that he's only 5'11". Like Anthony Brown, can move inside and out. I believe he'd be a slot for us. But if it worked out where he had to move inside or outside for some reason, that he'd be able to do that. So that's nice in an emergency. Joshua Ross was my last guy. He's more of a middle linebacker prospect, 2 down, thumper type from Michigan. The big school thing, of course, for Dallas is always important. He'd be a special teamer. They need depth at linebacker. I went into the draft going, okay, I got to get 2 of them. I either have to get 2 linebackers or a linebacker and a safety that can play like Curse's role. So, I that was the plan. And I think I wanted a middle linebacker because we need a guy that for a couple downs can just go in and thump with people, and stop the run. If we're playing teams that are just running on us, put that guy in there and let him take on some blocks and shed and take a guy down. And if it gets to coverage, well, then fine, make him make a play, but don't just let him continue to run and overpower us. So that was those 3 picks.
With all the free agents, Mike, and the salary cap, we know how Steven runs it and everything. You're looking at this draft. Do you think that this is going to be one of those drafts where we're going to target need?
I don't, because I think there's going to be too many needs. Let's just go through. Let's say they keep Cooper, or they either way get one of Gallup and Cooper are there, right? One of Gregory or Tanker there. Urban comes back, let's say. But Watkins goes. One of those 2 come back, right? And they lose Connor Williams. Well, they can put McGovern there. Now they have an inside offensive line and offensive tackle need. It is there because Tyron is what it is. LC, they were one of the worst pass offensive lines against the pass rush in the league last year. They were bottom 10. So that's a need. Wide receiver, you could probably still use speed. And if one of those 2 guys are gone, we don't know about Cedric Wilson and Malik Turner. We don't know about Simi Fehoko. So that's a need. Defensively, are you okay with Watkins and Bohanna? Might need one there. Edge, Randy Gregory and Terrell Basham doing it for you. If you move Micah Parsons down to edge, now you're happy. Now you're like, okay, I got either Parsons Gregory or Parsons Tank. That's great. Who's your fucking linebackers? You don't have anything. You have Cox coming off an injury and nothing else. Luke Gifford, I think, isn't a free agent. Like, that's rough. Who's your safeties? If you bring back Malik Hooker, it's not going to be on a long-term deal because he's trying to play 1 year, show he could stay healthy again and get paid. You bring him back Casey, he was okay, 30 years old. So I just feel, and then even cornerback, you have Kelvin Joseph, you have Diggs. They're there for the long term. Nashawn Wright was overdraft, it looks like. Reggie Robinson hasn't been able to get anywhere. Anthony Brown's a cut candidate at $5 million. Jordan Lewis is going to be a cut candidate this year just because they did the contract the way they did. So that's a need. So I just think going, no matter what they hit, if in the first round it's Zion Johnson, okay, you hit a starter. If it's Nakobe Dean or Lloyd, hit a starter. If it's Kyler Gordon, hit a starter. If it's Daxton Miller or Brisker, hit a starter. Like, they don't really need to. They have so many what spots they can improve that I think they just draft, minus making sure they get an offensive lineman in the top 100. Other than that, I think they just draft whatever lands in their lap.
Yeah, I mean that'd be nice to see 3 years in a row.
It'd be beautiful. I wish.
Yeah, that makes two of us, Mike. Well, here we are with our newest segment, if you want to call it that. It's going to be Mike and Paul's view from the front row. Again, for those who missed it last week, this is the segment where, because there's not a lot of football really going on right now outside of the combine and everything coming up, then free agency hasn't started. Mike and I thought we would discuss movies and TV shows that we've watched or are watching and that we want to share with you guys in case you haven't seen them. And, maybe that we mentioned something that you haven't seen and that you would enjoy. So Mike, talk to us. What did you watch last week?
All right. So here's the issue is the ones that I'm watching right now, unfortunately, are episodic. So they're like Marvelous Miss Maisel, 2 more episodes came out Friday. The Servant, Friday, another episode. After Party had another episode. So the same shows that I talked about last week are still the ones I'm currently watching because they're coming up on their season finales. I will say Euphoria season finale was unbelievable. Like, it was so good. Incredible.
That was trending on Twitter, man.
It was an incredible. I will talk nothing about it, but the episode was incredible. So, there was that season finale. Walking Dead's going on their last run before they go. I'm trying to keep up on that. The new Book of Power with Tommy is one that I'm watching, but everything right now is episodic, so I'm not able to just. It all dropped. Boom, 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 boom. Watch them all. I just don't have that right now. So going back to the same ones as last week and hoping you have something new for us.
Well, I'm curious. What is After Party?
After Party is real. Have you ever seen the movie Clue?
Yes.
Okay. It's a lot like Clue was done out modern as a TV show. Each guest, every episode is a certain guest of the party telling their story from that night. And there was a murder, and they're trying to figure out who murdered Dave Franco's character, Xavier. And it has Tiffany Haddish. It has a bunch of people where the faces you'd go, oh, yeah, him from Neighbors, the friend from Neighbors. Yeah, I know him. But you don't know it well enough to where you just boom their names out, But yeah. Dave Franco and Tiffany Haddish are the 2 bigger names that you're like, oh, these guys, the name stars. But it's really funny. The dude that's been on, God, I hate that I don't know his name. He's on the Don Cheadle shows. House of Lies, and he's been in a lot of stuff. He's really funny, and I can't remember his name, but his episode is the 3rd episode, and it's so funny because he goes over the top, like he was singing and stuff, and it didn't happen. Like, no, dude, you're lying. Like, nobody was joining in with you doing that stuff, but yeah, it's good. I would watch it. It's Apple Plus, I want to say, is the one that it's on.
Still don't have Apple, but it sounds like I'll have to change that, Mike.
Apple Plus is one of my favorite. They have a lot of home run show. They don't have as much content, but when they drop something, I'd say 7 out of 10 times it's like, damn, that was great. That was worth watching.
So for me, Mike, it was a good week of movie watching for me. I watched Ratatouille with my wife and my son, and then my wife and I, we watched Shang-Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings for the first time, and holy cow, man. That was I know when I was talking to you about it, you were saying how it could easily make your top 5 favorite Marvel movies. And I was like, wow, man, that seems pretty like a pretty bold statement. But after watching it, I can see why. And then last night, I mentioned it earlier on the show, but my wife and I we watched the Prestige to go to sleep and help my son go to sleep.
That's a good movie. Are you dissing it, or are you saying it puts you to sleep?
No. I'm saying it's just I've seen it so many times. It's like one that I'm so familiar with that, of course, it keeps me interested, but I can fall asleep to it, and and that's not a diss on the movie because that's one of my favorite Christian Bale movies.
Dude, Christopher Nolan. He's a genius. Now, I like Memento better, but of his movies before he was really known, before Batman and then Interstellar and Inception, before all those started coming out, he had Memento and Prestige, and they were such good movies. So yeah, I love Prestige. That was great. The actors, that director, you can't miss.
No, you really can. And man, even Scarlett Johansson, just the sneaky addition of her, dude. Memento, what is that? I've never seen that.
Memento is one of the most creative, best movies ever made. His brother Jonathan Nolan wrote the story for it, and it has Guy Pearce, it has Carrie Ann Moss, it has Joe Pantoliano, who's the if you don't know who that is, he's in Matrix. He's the one that turns on him in the first Matrix. He's also the sergeant in he's like the captain in Bad Boys, the one that's all him. And basically what it is that it's this person who has short-term memory loss, and he's trying to catch his wife's killer, and he tattoos clues on himself so that when he wakes up from the memory starts over, he can look and get an idea of what's going on. And it plays all backwards. So
really?
It's great. It's Christopher Nolan's a friggin' genius. He's a maniac. The first scene of the movie is how the movie ends. And then
wow. Okay.
And then it goes backwards. You watch it because it's like you have short-term memory and you have to go back and read. And it goes all the way back to the start of the movie. And I literally bought when Blu-ray first came out, I brought a Blu-ray of it where they had an option to watch the movie forward, like regular version. And it's crazy still because you get to watch like a regular movie, but the watching it go back, like this scene ends and it goes back and shows the scene before, and that scene ends right at the scene that you had just watched, and then it goes back again, and like it's I can't recommend a movie. Those little gems, like it was one of those. It's a 10 of 10, but you have to watch it. You can't be like
on your phone or anything like that.
No.
Yeah.
Everything is important. Every detail, when he starts talking about Sammy Jenkins, because he was a insurance thing, like, and they thought this guy with short-term memory loss was faking. And that story's incredible. And man, it's seriously, it's one of those mind-blowing movies like that. It's never been done since. There's not been one movie that's been done like that since. And Tenet has a little bit of that. The way Tenet like goes back, it's like you could tell it was Christopher Nolan, but still, even then, Memento, the way he did it, it's unbelievable how he thought that up. Like, and man, this is crazy.
Mike, can you keep us going for just a minute? I gotta cut out real quick.
Yeah, because I can go on to Prospect review. Now he's not going to go because when he comes back, he's going to be like Prospect review, but we've already gone over it. So he wanted me to look up Jahan Dotson, the wide receiver, and I got to be honest that he feels like a tweener to me. Like he has the speed, he has great route running, but he's only 5'11". He doesn't have like an elite catch radius. I wouldn't call. We were talking about the 3 level wide receivers before. He's pretty good at the catch point. He's not great after the catch. Like he's not overly dynamic. He's not overly big. He reminds me if Cole Beasley had speed to play outside, because he can beat you like a Cole Beasley on the inside, but he can line up outside and has the speed to beat you deep. And he didn't play with a great quarterback, which I liked because he was really productive, even though Penn State didn't have a great QB. With the wide receivers that are available in this draft, Jahan Dotson didn't do it for me. Like I would feel more comfortable with him being a slot guy that beat linebackers and even the best slot corners he could beat with his route running. But I don't love him on the outside because I just think he'd be limited. He's not a go up and get guy. He's got enough speed to get past the corners, but fast corners could stay with him. He'd have to beat them to get through, over the top. He would legit have to like beat him off the line. He's not going to overly speedster you. So he felt a little bit like a tweener to me, and that's why he wasn't. I know he'd probably be a second rounder for me because I just don't. I don't love him enough as he's more of a guy that's an underneath, beat the guy, get 15 yards. I went with prospect review. I jumped ahead to that because I figured that's one I could go through. So I went Jahan Dotson, Penn State wide receiver. And basically what I said is he's kind of a tweener for me. He feels like a better Cole Beasley as far as he's not just limited to slot. But when he's in the slot, he beats people with his route running really bad. He can make you look stupid. But his outside speed isn't elite. He has good enough to beat people, but it's not elite speed. And he's only 5'11", and he's not, a 50-50 guy. So he feels like a kind of a tweener to me. Like, I don't see him underneath, getting a ball underneath, breaking. He's not big enough to break tackles. And he doesn't have the long speed to just like burn past everybody. So I just feel like he's more of a necessary first down guy, but I don't want to draft him as early as you'd have to draft him to get a guy like that.
Would he be a day one contributor?
Oh, sure. He can get open right away. He whatever team he goes to, he'll beat your best corner a couple times. He has that kind of route running, but 5'11" and he's not great at anything else. Like, he's not going to go up and get the ball. He's not going to like burn past you. He's not going to break tackles after he gets it. He's not a big enough player to like Dez would. He's not fast enough to like, catch one and go like a Hill did, where he just and you went right by him. So I just feel like he's an in-betweener. I would like to get him like at 88 maybe, but then you could probably get man.
Watson.
No, it's the speedy kid, Juan Wright. Man, don't do a podcast without sleep, y'all. Bad. I know it's Wayne Ryan. Wayne, I'm so mad. I'm mad. Like, this is I watched him. He's super fast. He's about a third round guy. Maybe he sneaks in the top 2. He's Wainwright. Wayne, man, I'm mad.
From where? What college?
I can't remember. I'm gonna look. Now you got to hold us while I go over and
no, Mike. You're talking about Jahan Dotson. I mean, if we were to bring back Michael Gallup, and of course we have CeeDee Lamb, adding a guy like Dotson out of the slot, dude. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at that trio at all.
No, he's not
an exciting player.
Well, I feel like all our guys are limited to certain stuff they can do, and we don't have guys that just could do like everything. I'm gonna get this guy's name right now. Let me see. I'm going to it. All right, available players. We're gonna go wide receiver. Somebody's yelling it too right now at the thing, like, it's this guy, you idiot.
Wandel Robinson?
That's it. Wandel Robinson. Yep. I just got to him right here. Wandel Robinson. So like in the third round, I'd rather have him because he's kind of a burner. I'd rather have Sky Moore. If I'm going a little bit smaller type guy, I think Sky Moore is a little bit more physical. Like, if he catches it, he could break away a little bit more. I just feel like he might be like, he could do it. But if I'm drafting like a prospect, where I don't know their full potential yet, I want somebody with a little bit more tools for me if I'm going to draft them in the, top 50.
I got you. Yeah. I mean, that makes a lot of sense. So is he somebody that you can see the Cowboys targeting?
No, they already got Cole Beasley. And they got a guy like that. They're not going to target him that early as he'll go. He's not the taller, lengthy guys that they like. He's 5'11". He's more of a route runner than like a beat you deep long guy. He has the speed to do it, but it's not something he's going to do all the time. I don't think Dallas would draft him.
And if I heard correctly, you said you pick 88, so it sounds like you've got a third round grade on him.
I want to do more on him. He's a tweener. He's second, third for me. So I want to see what he runs at this combine. I want to see how he looks on his drills on the outside, especially because I know he's going to make people look stupid at the combine because his route running it's pretty nasty. He has a good release package. He can make you look really stupid, and so can Cole Beasley. But how often did Cole Beasley beat somebody deep? Like it happened rarely, but it's not just isn't something that happens a lot, So I don't, it's not a guy I want that early.
Understandable. Okay, Mike. So I'm gonna have a little homework assignment for you. Your prospect, our prospect preview for this week. I want you to study Michigan edge David. I believe it's Ojabo. Was it Ojabo?
That's no issue. That one's been done, and we will talk about it next week. Yeah. So I'm just going to give you one tease. I don't like to tease anything before, but he's a guy that if he tests right could be like top 10.
Really?
Not that I draft him top 10, but he could be one that goes in the top 10 based on his testing numbers. The way Saints traded up for Marcus Davenport, and at the time everybody was kind of like, you need to draft, but he had pretty good numbers. He had the right size and everything. He's one of those guys that you're like, somebody might go, you know what? I'm not going to let an attempt at a guy with this size, this speed, this length, I don't want to talk about them all, but he could go top 10 if he measures right. I'm just saying.
So it sounds like this could be like a traits freak. Maybe he hasn't. There's not a lot of production, but there's a lot of traits, and the ceiling is so high. It's like, man, I don't want to pass this up because if we hit, it's going to be a big hit.
He's a Michigan defensive end. They have those. Rashawn Gary was the latest one, and it took him a while to get going to kind of like get a groove, and now he's starting to make plays. When you get guys like traits like that, you just got to be able to teach them. You get the right teachers, they'll become players.
Hey, Dan Quinn's quite the teacher, isn't he?
Did he have an all-pro rookie? Micah Parsons is great, but don't discount what Dan Quinn meant to that player.
Absolutely. Mike, I know I got us a little bit off track there. I sure do appreciate you holding down the fort here. So we're going to go in reverse here, and we're going to finish the show off with one word this week. And I want you to give me one word that you think the Cowboys free agency approach will be blank.
Can I guess your word?
Of course.
Cheap.
Surprisingly, no. I think you're going to be very surprised with my word.
My word was economical. And the reason I
fancy your word for cheap.
I put in my notes, it's a word for cheap. The reason I used economical is because I believe this year they earned that because Jerron Kearse was cheap. Mm-hmm. That wasn't cheap. That was economical. At the end, the start of it, Brent Urban was cheap. Watkins was cheap. Hooker was cheap. Kearse was cheap. By the end, economical is a better word for those because they paid low and got a good haul out of it. So if they could pull that, I don't believe you can pull that off very often. That's very hard to do. But if they do that again, I'll keep calling them economical. The minute they do it and their players suck ass, they're going to be back to cheap. That's my word.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm gonna use that on my wife next time if she wants me to take us out to dinner. I'm gonna say I'm being economical tonight, babe.
Economical, yeah, it means it's but you got to live up because the first thing that's gonna happen is you go, I got to keep it in this price range. She's gonna go, you're cheap. But if you go to Taco Bell, you're cheap. If you hit this right spot, that's really really good. It just happened to not cost a lot of money. Like say there's a Daphne's in Fresno that you could go to where you get cooking from me. It's an economical decision. You didn't go out and spend the buku mega bucks on a fine dining, but you got really good food. That's economical. Take her to McDonald's, your ass is cheap.
Hey, the amazing thing, it's funny you say that because if she said, hey, babe, can we go to dinner? And I took her to McDonald's, she'd be so happy because I hate McDonald's and she loves McDonald's.
Why does she love me?
I have no idea, dude. I don't know if it's a price thing. I think it's really just the dollar Dr. Pepper or the dollar large sweet teas.
Fries.
I think it's really that. I'm gonna have good fries.
The fries are good, but they
And
like
the McGriddle.
I like the breakfast stuff. The breakfast
The
stuff's good.
McGriddle. Oh my god, dude.
Yeah, so give me breakfast, give me fries. But if somebody's going there to get like lunch, dinner, get out. What are you doing? Don't eat fast food.
For real. So, Mike, for me, going back to one word here, I think Steven and Jerry will bring back some fan favorites like Gregory and Gallup. And after Dan Quinn's success and Dak's contract last season, I think they'll listen to them and bring in guys to help them and make the team better. I think the Cowboys' free agency approach will be savvy.
Savvy. Okay, that's the next step up. So mine was cheap is when they suck. Economical is when they hit some guys. You know what savvy is? Savvy's like Robert Quinn trade. 5th, 6th rounder, and you bring in a guy that gets you 14 sacks. Maybe they get a really good contract on Gregory. They get a really good contract on Hooker. Maybe Michael Gallup coming off of an injury. You can get him on a 1-year deal. And you do things like that. I think savvy is a possible word. I'm not betting on them because it ain't going to be savvy if they do all that and then lose Amari Cooper, Tank Lawrence, and they cut a bunch of guys with no, not trading them for anything. Then I don't think savvy is what people are going to be calling them. But there's a window there for savvy. There's a window.
There's a window, yeah. And I mean, with the free agency moves they made last year and then the draft that they had, combining those things, that was pretty savvy.
It's a small window. Small. Because I got to be honest, you take Jaron Kearse away from that, and it's like, yeah. It's,
Indeed. Well, Mike, man, I enjoyed the conversation as always. We try to cut the episode short, and we still went over an hour.
I know, right? I talk too much, dude.
Hey, if you weren't talking, man, I don't know what this show would be.
Especially when you went to the restroom, it'd just be me rocking like this. We'll be right back, guys. Hold on.
That'd be so weird.
I'd grab my phone. I had to check friggin' 2 text messages while I was on because there's certain people that when you get certain things on the phone, nothing you could do. I got to go like, oh shit, what is this? Had to do it, man. So
it's no problem, sir. It's no problemo, man. I can't talk tonight, Mike.
That's all right. You have a kid. I didn't get any sleep. How the hell did we even get through this episode? When I told you earlier that I didn't sleep last night, you were like, please take a nap, dude.
Yes, sir. Hey, your well-being, man, is beneficial to all of us, sir.
I got a text message I have to take, so I'm gonna let you close out the show. I'm at CD Piglet, y'all. I'm gonna be on my phone while he closes up.
Hey guys, as always, I appreciate you joining us. You can find me on Twitter at Paul_Ryan15. We will see you guys next week.